Ciso. Oh, it's fabulous! A strike to get you up off your seats.
Hello and welcome to Seagulls Social, the match preview of Brentford. It's not been a good time to be a Brighton fan at the moment. You know, a lot of meltdowns online, but we're back, better than ever, apart from the team. But we'll be bringing the vibes. I'm joined by Jack and Maz. Jack, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Yeah, it's been a bit of a dull week, isn't it? In the land of Brighton and Hove Albion, not in good form. Quite entertaining to see Palace lose 5-0 last night, but I'm sure that will come back to bite us in some way, as always happens with Brighton and Hove Albion. Arsenal got through the Champions League. What a shame. And that's it, really.
Good, mate. Good. Yeah, it was. I don't know. I quite like seeing Arsenal, but maybe maybe I'm in the minority of people that don't support Arsenal that we're happy to see them go through.
To be honest. Irrelevant club, so it's fine.
Yeah, really relevant. But yeah, like you said, Palace lost 5-0, so that's good. They're trying their best to finish 10th again because they got too good and they were like, right, how are we going to finish 10th if we're playing this well? We need to knock it down a peg. So yeah, back where they belong, below us, obviously. Maz, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Just, living the proverbial dream, really. Just, life is just always great. No, obviously football-wise, dead. But, listen, Brighton, we can do it. Brentford, fuck them. We're going to do them over and we're going to win the league. That's what I think.
Oh, my God. This is...
Can we still win it?
I think mathematically, no, we can't.
No, there can't be a scenario where we can win it now. Surely they're out.
No, I don't think. No, mathematically we cannot win the league.
Liverpool can win it. Liverpool can win it on against Tottenham. I don't know when that is. I can't remember. I should know because I'm working it. But yeah, they can.
So
win
we might be happy to do the Guard of Honour for Liverpool, won't we? We played them penultimate game.
Yeah. Yeah, looks like we'll be able to do that. But before that, guys, like we said, we're playing Brentford away at the GTech Stadium, the Stadia. It's a bit of a rivalry, isn't it, with Brentford, with the chairmans. Hopefully Tony Bloom will be back in the away end there. We've had a few good experiences there, Jack. It's a nice place to go. Nice little away day. I remember the last time I went was when Trossard scored and we went in the Hyper Turk kit. But have you got fond memories of the GTech?
Other than that game, I don't think we've ever won there. So,
well, fair play.
Really, no.
Good.
Other than that game,
has it been goalless draws?
There's been a lot of goalless draws. No, I think the last game we drew 0-0 towards the end of last season.
Both.
Then the game before that we lost 2-0. Ivan Toney scored 2, and then don't know. Can't remember. And then I think the season before that.
I'm looking. It was 2-1. So 0-0, 2-1, and then 3-3, which is a cracker.
That includes home games, doesn't it?
Oh right, sorry. You're just doing away. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were doing the order.
Flowing beautifully, this podcast.
Yeah, so I'm going to retract what I said. I'm going to say Brentford, very... oh my God, my brain is so fried at the moment. Very unrememberable then. I was completely wrong. We don't have good times when we go to the GTech. Yeah. But, I mean, I'm still not confident that we are going to this time either, to be honest. They got a good point at Arsenal last week. I know Arsenal were probably focusing on Real Madrid. But still, they got the result there. I know we did earlier in the season, but... had a little bit of help from VAR and the referees, I guess. But yeah, Maz, are you confident going into this one?
Well, look, I mean, Brentford come into this not exactly best run of form. I think in the last 6 they've only won 1, I think, in the last 6. And then they drew, obviously, against Arsenal last time out. So they're not going into it like full of confidence, but they are within touching distance of potentially sort of battling with us and the likes of, Fulham, Bournemouth, etc. for the Conference League spot / potentially Europa League spots, depending on what happens. So, yeah, I mean, look, they've got everything to play for. They've got some really good players, Wissa and Buemo, Damsgaard, Norgard, all the guards. They got some really good players. So, I think it's gonna be a really, really tough test. But if we can play like we know we can play, which we haven't done for the last 2 weeks, it's just we need to get back to that level. And what needs to happen? That's my biggest thing. Is like what. A few of the players had rest. That didn't really help. A few, Herzler came out and said, we need to see a reaction. We didn't see a reaction. It's like, what needs to change? What needs to happen? We keep sort of saying things are going to change, but nothing's really changing. So do we need to change the lineup? Do we need to change tactics? Do we need to do something to freshen up? Because right now it's clearly not working. And I know obviously like Matoma, we didn't really talk about Matoma last time out, but obviously he was a big miss in the last game. You know, if he's back, that could be a big boost. If we have the likes of, I don't know, Veltman coming back again, probably not looking likely. But, you know, if we have a few players come back from injury, that could really help boost maybe the morale, you know, be able to change things tactically. We just need something to change. And I don't really know what that is right now. But we need something to change.
Jack, do you have any answers ahead of Brentford?
I agree with a lot of what Maz said. I do think that like they're saying a lot of things, aren't they? And we want to see a reaction. We want to see stuff like that. And I don't know. We need to actually start seeing it now. There's a lot of words. I think the optics of the going on holiday hasn't come across great because they came back and also weren't very good. So I don't feel like the rest has sort of helped them, but they've had, you know, we've only had one game in the last week, so they will be a bit more refreshed. But I don't know. I think whatever we're trying to do at the moment isn't tactically necessarily working that well. So I'd like to see him maybe adapt a few things. I think there's obviously the defensive problems are because we just haven't had a solid back line for the last 3 or 4 games, and with injuries and all sorts of stuff. So I'd like to see a little bit of, you know, let's stick with something that we know works in defence, and then sort of go forward and just sort of build on the performance. But yeah, I'm not flying into this game with confidence, but there's no reason we can't turn this corner. You know, Hursley's had the whole week with them on the training ground, so let's see what he's been doing.
I just don't really know like what's going on with the club most of the time. I feel like the communication with the fans has just been so strange. I mean, even more recently, we've seen Igor's Instagram story saying he's out for the season, see you next season. And then a few days ago, he's like, oh, I'll be back soon. So I don't really know. And we've seen it with a lot of our injuries this season. Why are they just so unclear of what's going on?
Yeah, our what's it called? Medical department needs to have a look at it. I think Jack mentioned it in the last podcast, but I think we seriously need to look at that in the summer and think what is actually going on in the medical department. Not only you know, a lot of players getting injured, but it's like you said, Ben, it's the recovery times, it's the return dates. It's just it seems very confused. It seems very unprofessional. It lacks professionality, I think, and also quite worrying for a medical department to sort of not really know what's going on, or it feels like that anyway. Obviously, I'm sure they've got the state of the art technologies and the coaches and all that kind of stuff. But it just comes, like you said, Ben, it comes across to us fans as if the medical department don't know what they're doing, and it's very sort of confused lines and blurred lines with that. And it's like you don't know who's going to come back, when they're going to come back. Like even with Lamptey and Veltman and stuff like that, it's like one minute they say they're going to be in the squad, and then the next minute they're not even in the match day squad. And like Matoma wouldn't even know about. Matoma just came out of the blue, wasn't in the squad, and it's like, is it a commission? Not that we deserve to be told every little thing, as fans, but it's just a bit bemusing when it comes to match day and your best player's out injured, but you weren't told about it, or you didn't know as a fan beforehand. So it's all very confusing, a bit weird. And I think we do need to have a look at the medical department in the summer for sure, because something has to change in that respect.
I suppose we've recently changed it though.
Yeah, we have. That's the thing. I was about to say that. That's good then. I think there is I think definitely it feels like we get to this stage every season, and the injury thing is just mounting up again. I don't really know where you have a look at what the actual problems are. I mean, a few theories I've had.
Well, have a look.
Yeah, exactly. So. It's a few theories I've had. Is it because of the players we buy? Are we taking punts on players that other clubs aren't because they're injured more? Or I don't think it is that. I think, is it the intensity of training? Is it the intensity of the football? Is it there's so many different things that you could probably point it down to. Have we got an aging squad? Have we got or is it just something stupid like
I think it's a lot of those factors, Jack. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think there's a lot of those factors, aging squad, the players we bring in. A lot of these players as well, not a lot of them, but a few of them now, like a Milner, for example, Welbeck historically, they've all come with, we knew that with the record they came, and we sort of taken a punt on them, thinking, right, they're going to bring experience, but are they actually going to give us minutes? Which Milner, sadly, has not. And Lallana, even when he was there as well.
And the irony is this season that Welbeck's probably had his best season injury-wise.
No, of course.
So, but Milner, Milner's just sort of disappeared off the face of the earth, hasn't he, really? Which is a little bit confusing. And I do think that we've almost held on. I think a big thing for me is we've held on to players who have ropey injury records for far too long. And I know that sounds really and we can't keep on relying on them. And I think if we're going to have like the summer, sorry, I thought I heard something in my house there, but it wasn't. It wasn't. And like
Milner's at your door,
Cat.
an attacker or something. Yeah, it's the cat.
banging on the door with his crutches.
Yeah. But no, there's a couple of players who I think we've put as like integral parts of the squad who just can't be relied on anymore. Like, you know, Tariq, I think, has weirdly had one of his best seasons with us in terms of contribution, goals, and whatever. But we can't have any level of reliance on him, even as a backup, because he's just going to get injured within 3 or 4 games. And, you know, it hurts me to say it, but it's starting to look that way with Adam Webster. Like, I feel like we have Adam Webster in cycles where we get him for a few games. It takes him a few games to go up to speed. He looks fantastic. And then he's injured and he's suddenly out for a few games. And I think the problem is we're relying on these players to be backup, and then the backup's disappearing, and then we've got nothing sort of left in the middle, and then whatever's going on with Cashin, I think we're all still a mystery to that. So that's been a bit
Well
of a...
said, Jack.
Yeah.
Well said.
But we've been
Yeah,
over
I
that.
think that's bang on.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at Herzler's quotes about Adam Webster's injuries, and he mentioned it at the same time as Rutter, and it's just like, it's possible that they'll miss the rest of the season. It's like, how are you just so... Why are they so oblivious? Why are they just... Just can't just say, he's going to be, I'll let you know when I know, rather than just be like, it's possible they'll be out for the whole season.
It's very vague, isn't it? It's very vague.
Sorry, vague's the word.
And as fans as well, yeah, it is frustrating because you're like, cool, if he's out for the season, he's out for the season. There's nothing we can do about that. But don't either give us false information or false hope, or, you know, it's like they've misdiagnosed it, and that's how it feels. It's like they've misdiagnosed it every time. Every time it's 3 to 4 weeks. Oh, actually, no, they're out for 3 months, and it's like, how are you getting this like basic things wrong? And it's really strange. And even Veltman, for example, is he just going to be out for time now? Like, do we have a return date? What do we know? What's happened? Do we know he's alive? Like, what is going on? Like, it's just very bemusing, very crazy.
Tough subject, this one, and we've been speaking about an ageing squad, and we spoke about Lewis Dunk after the recent game. Do you drop him for this one? Obviously, we're pretty light at centre back anyway, so what would you do with that, Jack?
No, you can't.
I was going to do... is your name Jack? I wouldn't drop him. I'd start him and Van Heck. I think, we don't really have options there. We could play Cash in there. I wouldn't be wholly against dropping Dunk, bringing Cash into the side, but if he's not playing in the Leicester game, then I don't think he's going to turn up in... I don't think it's going to be appropriate to play him in this one. So, yeah, for me, I'm quite... Van Heck and Dunk back together, good, solid. A big change that I would like to see, and this is quite a bold one, but I wouldn't be wholly opposed to seeing Charlie Tasker start at right back so we can push Hinchwood into midfield. Because I do feel like Hinchwood is becoming a bit of a fool guy in that position. Like, he's getting targeted. You can see they were doing it with Mavididi. Still can't say that bloke's name.
Mavididi.
So I wouldn't be opposed to stop putting square pegs in round holes and put players in their actual position. I do realise there is also the downside that Charlie Tasker could start and it could be a baptism of fire for him. So it's not to say that we should go in straight with that. But, there's got to be something different to try after the last few games, because whatever they have been trying hasn't quite come off and worked properly. So, yeah, maybe a change, maybe a freer midfield. I don't know.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I agree with Jack. I wouldn't drop Dunkey. I'd start him alongside Van Heck. However, what sort of annoyed me, and the more I think about it, the more it annoys me, and it shouldn't really do, because, football isn't life. But what's annoyed me is about the Leicester game is, that was the perfect opportunity to try these things. Because for me, Brentford is a much harder task, especially at the GTech, going away from home. I think it's going to be tough to, let's say Charlie Tasker comes in, Wissa and Buemo running at you. It's going to be tough, you know what I mean? And I feel like the Leicester game was the perfect game to start Charlie Tasker. Perfect game to start Cash in. Give these guys a go. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. At least they learn and, they develop, and you never know then going into the Brentford game, it's not their first game. It just gives them that time to sort of bed in a little bit more. So, to answer the question, I'll definitely start Duncan Van Heck. But I quite like the idea, like Jack said, of Charlie Tasker play, because I agree with Jack wholeheartedly. I think Jack Hinchwood needs to be in centre midfield. I think he's just been not found out, but he's had a tough time, I think, in the last couple of games with players targeting them, because they know he's not a natural right back. So they're like, let's just go at him and we can get a bit of joy down that.
And I don't think whoever's in front of him has been helping him at all, which has been a problem. I didn't think Minter was as good at tracking back in the Leicester game as he has been. I mean, it doesn't help, the first goal conceded through Dunk just giving the ball away needlessly, and you've got to completely change the way you play. So that is fair enough. But yeah, it's I would like to see Hinchwood up in midfield because you look back on the Newcastle game, that was like a 10 out of 10 performance, absolutely superb. And I want to see, Newcastle, one of the most informed midfields in the country right now. Their midfield, everybody's saying how it's perfect. And Jack Hinchwood seems to be the only player in the last few games who seems to have completely dominated that area of the pitch. So, yeah, be interesting I'd love to see him come back in because we know how good he can be.
Yeah, and I don't think you can lose that experience Dunk brings. I think he brings so much experience, especially a big game, away to Brentford. We all know how much it means to Tony Bloom. I think, as a club, we need Dunky on the pitch. And I think it's the recent sort of criticism of Dunk, I think, has been a little bit harsh. I know I said that he needs to not start anymore, but that doesn't mean to say he's not an asset. No, but that's not to mean he's not an asset. It's not to mean that he's finished or he's done. I just think that we do need to bring another centre-back in. And I think that's fair to say, in my opinion. It's just, I think long-term. But for the here and now, with the options we've got available, I think Dunk is really important that he does play. And I think he's still got a lot more to bring. And he can still play well. It's just he has struggled recently. That's all.
Yeah. I was going to, on the centre-back thing, it's weird that we've now called our interest on that Oliver Buscagli, who I thought we were pretty much in for to get, especially to sign as a free. It's weird that that's called off. But I'm going to say I do disagree with you, boys. I feel like Belabor, he done all right against Leicester. I feel like he would probably do a better job at centre-back against Visser, especially with Mbeumo and Sade.
Disagree.
Yeah, fair enough. But I just feel like Donkey, I just can't see that ending well. Especially there's some special attackers.
No, that's fair.
Belabor was, I thought Belabor's Instagram caption
was so good.
after the Leicester game, he was like, he put CB in CB, call it a collector's item with the stars emoji. And then I just thought that was quite bizarre after we literally just dropped points.
I don't know if you saw as well. I believe apparently it was actually his people who run his Instagram. But he wrote something about he didn't want to play in centre back anymore. I don't know if you saw that. He wrote something.
Yeah, he said
along those lines.
Yeah, I mean a collector's item would indicate that it's a rarity.
Yeah.
So, I think
he's been quite open and basically doesn't want to play at centre back.
Yeah, I do kind of agree what you say, Ben, where I do think he can sort of handle the attackers, but I just think going forward we missed his ability in midfield so much. The ability to turn and carry that ball forward. Because we were towards the end of the game we didn't have that bite in midfield. I thought the midfield at times last week was just being bypassed. Like there were times where I felt like I was watching it was like a hot knife through butter at times. And I would like to see a bit more beef in midfield. And I think Believer can bring that beef.
It goes back to your point, Jack, about like Jack Hinchwood, though, right back. And it's like we're trying to fit players that aren't in their natural positions. And I agree with you, Ben. Like he was fantastic and he can definitely do a job at centre back. But I just feel like he's so much better utilised at centre midfield. And if we can put players in their natural positions, I think that's the best forward.
Yeah.
I agree with Jack. Like his forward runs, the way he's able to cut, go through midfield, and his range of passing, etc., etc. I just think he's so much better utilised at centre midfield. But of course, he can do a job at centre back.
Yeah.
But I just prefer him.
I do think, the idea that because Dunk was poor last week, I think, but Dunkers, even when he was at the top of the game, Dunk does occasionally have stinkers. That's probably why he's not he's never been like a world class centre back. Like he's been a very, very good Premier League centre back. So there's no reason he can't recover from a stinker again. So, and I don't, for example, and that's true. You've got to back yourself to come back. And I think he definitely seems like the sort of person to do that. I didn't think he was particularly bad against Palace, other than maybe tighter marking for the Mateta goal. But and when he came on against Forest, I thought he changed the game a little bit. Like he seemed to give us more of a standpoint in the game. So yeah, I definitely think that he can come back from it. But I do get your trail of thought, Ben, in that we want to deal with the pace and believe we're very good at dealing with it. But maybe it's a change of tactic is needed. Maybe we need to have Belieber as more of a CDM who can sort of slip between the two centre backs, almost making like a 5 in defence, and then I'm
pretty sure we've seen that before, haven't we?
Yeah, and I think that would be great. And then I really think we're talking about a centre back, but I think midfield was the big problem last week, and I think we do need to maybe put more men in midfield. I think a 3 in midfield wouldn't be the worst thing well, because without Rutter, we haven't really got that man who can sort of play that middle role where, they're sort of... Rutter was so good at sort of linking the midfield to the front three, whereas I think the players who have been forced into that position recently haven't quite done it for me. So maybe more of a 4-3-3 with
O'Reilly could be that guy. I was
yeah.
impressed with him last time out.
Definitely.
He
I
could be that guy,
I wouldn't be opposed to a midfield three of O'Reilly, Belieber, Hinshelwood, or maybe even Weaver. I don't think he's outside the realms of possibility. I've said quite a lot on social media about Weaver over the last week, and I've become quite frustrated because, and I think we discussed this on the pod, he's a player who I thought would come in and have an instant impact. And for whatever reason, Fabian Herzler hasn't been using him. And I want to see him, these players cost a lot of money and the club obviously brought them in and maybe the manager had an input. We don't quite know how the transfer market works in that way. But I want to see him use that potential that we have in midfield now that a lot of those midfielders are coming fit. And, Ayari did fine last week, but, whatever's happening with Ayari, it's not been quite working over the last few games. So why not see this as an opportunity to change it? Because we can't do worse, can we?
Yeah, just stick all the under 21s on, mate. That's what
Yeah.
I say. Get
Can't
Howell
get any
on,
worse, can it?
Get Tasker on. Get
Yeah.
Simmons on. Fucking get them all on. Mate.
Yeah, and I think sorry, just on another point, I think there is obviously the worry that Matoma might not be back, which is
Do
huge.
you know how
for
long he's
us.
out for?
Well, it seems to be that he may be fit for the weekend, but if not, he'll definitely be back for West Ham. That's what I've read. So I think there is the opportunity for him to be used. You don't want to rush him back, but it is really looking like he is incredibly integral to how we play, and without him, we really do suffer. And yeah, I think we're gonna start probably with Adingra and Minter, because I don't think we have, from a plethora of options to very little options in that area. So it'd be interesting to sort of see how that goes.
Because Adingra needs to step up here. It's a good opportunity for him.
Yeah, and like a lot of people have, it seems to be very love-hate with Adingra online. When I come across him, that some people seem to think he's absolutely dreadful, and some people seem to be like screaming at him. Matoma's not been good enough. He needs to be given an opportunity. So there's no better opportunity than these two games. And
Yeah, this is it.
yeah, and he's finishing
Grab it with both hands, Adingra, if you're listening, mate.
Yeah,
Do it.
yeah,
For the
exactly.
boys.
Yeah, but do grab it with both hands. This is what, we've had so much talk about the depth of this squad and how it's so good, the depth. If the depth isn't being used or the depth is crap, then we don't really have depth. So this is where the real sort of the money is made from this squad building we made in the summer. If that depth is going to be used, this has to be the time with all these injuries. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But yeah.
One thing I do want to question, I've seen a lot of fans questioning, is like the desire by the players. It just, especially after last game, it looked like no one really cared. And I'm not calling out João Pedro here, but I just thought, I know I might be looking into it way too much, but the Instagram post after the game, or like the day after, he just posted a picture of no caption of him just doing that. Like, do you not read the room? Like, we've just dropped points against a bottom half team or relegation team again, something that we're so bad at. And I just felt like some of the players just don't really read the room and don't really understand the issue there. Like, and he turned the comments on. I've just checked now. The comments were turned off, so I don't know why he's turned them off or if he has them always turned off. But I just thought it was quite bizarre. Maybe that just sums up the mentality of some of these players, that they just don't really get it.
I do think that was definitely some of my reaction after the Leicester game. Like, yes, we've drawn and the club like to post a lot on social media, but it wasn't a good result and we shouldn't be looking too much out of it. But I don't know, it's a hard one to sort of police the players' social media. I do think there is a problem with desire, though. It does look on occasion that, like, some of the players are not quite, under De Zerbi when we were going for Europe, the players threw everything at trying to get Europe. Some of those performances we put in that period, like the performance against Man United at home, Arsenal away, and it does seem like, I don't know what it is with lower league teams, and there's got to be something more to it. Or teams lower in the table, but we just can't get ourselves up for it. And I don't know what it is at home.
So bizarre.
And it's like, you can see it on the players. It's almost like the players expect, maybe it's a mentality shift. Maybe we have to sort of stop taking these teams for granted and just go, we need to throw everything at this team like we have with the previous teams. I'm not sure how they sort of fix that, because I'm not a football manager. I'm not paid to do that sort of thing. But I as everybody saw on
But
my
you are
Instagram.
paid to schedule trains. So
Yeah, as everybody saw on my Instagram, which
you
everybody
got that before GTA 6, mate. That was
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Jack Stevenson job reveal. But yeah, it's I think there's definitely a problem with desire, but we'll see. We'll see.
No, I think so as well. I think, and do you know what? And I'm a big, you know me, I'm a big Herzler defender. I really like him. I think he's he's one for the future, and he's still got time to sort of develop and get better. But maybe that does come from the manager, Jack. Maybe that desire, like you said, you made a good point. De Zerbi brought that desire. He brought that ethos into the team. I know they used to have him working super. He used to have them working super hard at the training ground. He used to instill this belief in them. And remember after what was the game, and he was like, "You will see the real Brighton," and we did see the real Brighton.
Yeah.
And when he says stuff in the press conferences, he backed it up. Whereas at the moment, and this is not to dig out Herzler, but he said it for the last 3 or 4 games now. Oh yeah, you'll see a reaction. We're gonna be better next time, and we haven't seen it. So I just want to see that. I want to see that. Yeah, I want to see those words come into fruition rather than just being words.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Yeah. For me, this reaction thing. Let's actually see this reaction now and shows what you made it, because we've got 6 games. If we go out and play really well in those games and we get like 12 points out of those games, I don't see there any reason why we can't achieve Europe with getting 12 points from the next few games. So
Give
let's
us
see what
Conference
we can
League,
do.
please.
Yeah.
Please.
I just want Conference League at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
So,
That's all. I'll be so happy.
Apparently, I was looking at. I saw an article. Apparently, up to 11, depending on obviously what happens.
I don't think that can happen now.
Yeah, not anymore.
it
that was
can't.
if
Villa.
Bournemouth won the FA Cup, I think, as well.
It was if Bournemouth won the FA Cup and like Villa won the Champions League and finished 8th.
But I still think, still what? 8 teams will be in Europe.
Yeah, depending on who
be,
wins
yeah.
the FA. Yeah, 8 teams will be in Europe. Yeah, from England.
Yeah.
They should stop straight from the table.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's get some scores on the doors. Jack Albion, I'll start with you.
1-0, Brighton.
Wow.
Not even going 1-1. Not even going 1-1. Let's go. Let's be positive. Let's just go with. I think. Let's hope we'll win, because we've got to win here, haven't we? Got to win. There's no draw will be a fine result. Like, let's try and win this game, for God's sake.
Is it me?
Yeah.
3-1. Let's go, baby.
Oh my god.
I actually think we'll win 3-1. I'm not even trying to bait.
You think we're going to win 3-1?
I think this is it. I think this is the game. I think this is the game where we finally do see the real Brighton. I've got this weird feeling, and I could be totally miles off it. But it's either going to be 3-1 Brentford or 3-1 Brighton. So that's going to be my score.
We need to lose 7-0 again. That seems to spark us into life, doesn't it? Let's lose 7-0 and then win 6 on the trot.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, and I'm going to say it's going to be 1-1. Sorry, boys, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling the team at the moment. I really hope they prove me wrong and can have a massive change in mentality. But yeah, from what I've seen recently,
to be fair,
since that international
with my brain, I would probably say a draw as well.
Yeah, I'd probably say 1-1.
We spoke about it, didn't we? Before the international break, we were on such a good run, and we were like, I just really hope this extended period out doesn't change anything, and it has really. Somehow we've just completely digressed after that. And yeah, we need. Thank you. Yeah, finally used one. Sorry, my brain's been all over the shop today. I'm not even hungover, but that makes a change. Yeah. But yeah, I think 1-1. Just I want them to prove me wrong, obviously, and I really, 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 really hope they do. And it'll be a great start for this last push for the season to get Conference League, or unbelievable if you get Europa League. But 1-1, and the goal scorer will be João Pedro from the penalty spot again. And he'll do this.
And upload it to Instagram next day.
Yeah, after Brentford's 94th minute dagger, the equaliser, he'll just post this.
If you don't laugh, you cry, don't you?
Yeah. Exactly. All right, on that note, enjoy the game, Jack. Everyone enjoy their Easter weekends. It's a big one. Good Friday coming up.
Yeah, lots of football.
Easter Sunday.
Isn't
lots of footy.
Bank holiday Friday tomorrow. Is it bank holiday?
Yeah. It's bank holiday every day for you, mate, isn't it?
yeah. Freelance life is
freelance, baby.
That's why I'm like, what day? Where am I? I don't even know what day it is usually. So, that's nice. A 4-day weekend. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm filling it up with lots of football. I think I've got 4 matches to go to over the weekend. So.
Oh, is that it?
Wow.
That's poor.
Is that low?
I would expect at least 6.
Very exciting.
2 a day.
Very
4 a
exciting.
day.
Big news for me. Before we go, Tomorrow, I'm going to Cray Valley Paper Mills FC versus Whitehawk. And that will be the 300th football ground I've been to in my life. So that means I've been to 300 different football grounds. So
is there even 300 grounds in the UK?
there are people who've done like 1,000. So I think I've sent Ben to sleep again. So we'll leave him on that. So that's a big milestone for him.
Yeah, that is good, Jack. That's pretty impressive.
Jack, well done, mate.
Yeah.
Well done.
Congrats, Jack. Well done, mate.
On
that,
Yeah.
yeah, actually get on the
And
pitch.
you know what? If anything, I'm touching too much grass.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
it's
That
like
is the worst analogy I could have used.
Yeah.
When someone told me to get a life or something, like go outside, and I was like, no, that's literally all I do. I'm never inside. That's my problem.
Maybe the inside should be get inside, mate.
Yeah, get inside and do something.
Touch carpet, mate.
Yeah, touch
touch
I know.
touch floorboards.
I'm
Yeah.
always at a gig or football, and it's just like, we've got to find something else to do in my life.
Nah, that's life, mate. Gigs, football, beer, bash.
That's
Right, on
life.
that note, we'll speak to you after Brentford. Peace.
Peace.